Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another speed build. It's time for another mansion, of course, shocker. And I built this one in Granite Falls, which is a rental world and it's part of Auto Retreat. And it's such a beautiful world, so I decided to build there once again. And even though this here is a rental lot, when you grab it from the gallery and you place it, it's a residential lot. And in the most recent update, we also got the option to turn any lot into a rental lot, but unfortunately it's not possible to turn the rental lots in Granite Falls into residential lots. But this build, the build itself, can be placed as a residential lot. So I just wanted to mention this in case you're watching this and you are like, no, my Sims are definitely not doing a vacation anywhere. So I just wanted to mention this. You can simply let your Sims move in as well. I still wanted to build here because it's so beautiful, and usually I really like to use this 50 by 50 lot to work on cabin builds, anything that's like really made out of wood and really rustic, but here I wanted to have a modern build just so I have a beautiful contrast between the world and my build. And I have to say, my last build has really inspired me. This was the platform mansion, and this was the first build where I really used platforms a lot, and I felt so inspired that I had to build another modern one. I'm really sorry about that. I just had to build another modern mansion. I said this in another speed build. I feel like these platforms are just perfect for modern roofing. It's just amazing. And here you can see how I tried to build this triangular shape, and I had a couple of problems with these platforms, but only because part of the build is diagonal, and whenever you want to build stuff like this diagonally, sometimes it just doesn't work. It just doesn't add up when you want to close a diagonal room or a foundation, or when you want to have a diagonal platform. Sometimes it doesn't add up. So there's something sticking out, like really confusing. And I encountered this here, but this wasn't the fault of the game. This was my fault. I confused myself a bit, but eventually it worked out. And you can here see that I just decided to copy the diagonal piece that I had already created, because why not? When you've already created a part of the build, like a piece of platform or a room or anything, you can simply copy it. And here I tried to build this diagonal shape, and then this took me a while. I don't know why. As I said, I just confused myself. I eventually decided to just build a room at the bottom, and then when you build a room, you can simply click on the arrows to raise the platform, and this way you can pre-shape any platform on the ground. You can pick it up and then you could place it on the roof, for example, which is much quicker than what I'm doing here. And eventually I had to do this. I don't even know if I included this, but here you can see how the shape isn't really adding up. There are like the edges. It's like not a proper diagonal rectangle. And eventually I just built a huge room on the ground. I raised the platform and I placed it up there. So this was a bit confusing and my mistake. So if you want to build something like this yourself, simply pre-shape all the stuff on the ground. We have the absolutely amazing custom room tool, which I really like to use, and I really wish we had a custom platform tool. I already talked about this on Twitter. I really would like to have a custom platform tool. You can use the custom room tool to create any shape, and as I said, you can pre-shape these things, but this is not always the best option. It totally depends on what you are building and on which part of the build you are working on. So in my opinion, this would still be a really great addition. But for now and in general, I can just recommend to pre-shape these things when you want to do this type of roofing, for example. And the triangular shape was just driving me crazy here. I don't know, but it was still a lot of fun. This was my mistake, as I said, and I really like to find a way to work out all these shapes. And I wanted to have something that's really modern, and I definitely wanted to have a diagonal part so it looks like really just unique, and like all these geometrical shapes, like really minimalistic in a way, but not really as always. Nothing that I built is really minimalistic, and I'm sorry, but I really tried to tone it down on the exterior. So I really tried to keep it really simple, so it's like semi minimalistic, I guess. The stairs in the front that I created were also built using the platform, and just like for my other build, I had to use some stairs at the top to connect them, because you just have to connect them to the floor above. And this is what I did, and I decided to use these really fancy Get Famous stairs. I think they even glow in the dark. I think these are the ones, but I'm not really sure. And I then just wanted to have a really modern shape for the house in general, which also turned the floor plan into something really interesting in my opinion. And as always for these builds, it's not super huge on the inside. I mean, for someone who's maybe used to playing tiny homes or something, this might still be big, but this is nothing compared to a 12-bedroom mansion or something. There are 4 bedrooms, 2 kids rooms, so there's enough space for the average sim family, I guess you could say. But this is like not overly huge, because I put such a heavy focus on the weird shapes and the patio at the bottom. And as you can see from the front, you can't even see a lot of the build. Like at the bottom, all you see is like this patio area and some rooms in the back, but there's the only magic right now is really happening at the top. And then I had to decide on a color scheme, which was really difficult. At first I wanted to have a build that is completely white, so these super minimalistic builds that don't have a lot of color, but eventually I decided to use lots of dark colors and some whites, so I had a contrast. And I also incorporated a bit of wood, but usually for builds like this, I have a tendency to use dark wood, but here I used the Eco Lifestyle wallpaper. I'm about to use this one, and I can really recommend it. When it comes to wood wallpapers, this one is the most beautiful one, and I feel like Eco Lifestyle has lots of great furniture, but also great wallpapers, and I can just really recommend it. If you are into modern builds, this wallpaper alone is just so amazing. But you guys know me, I never play, I only build, so I only really take a look at all the build buy stuff. So I just love this wallpaper, and I used it in a relatively bright swatch. There are darker ones, so I wanted to have this beautiful wooden color. And here at this point, the shape is already completely done. So this is almost the whole shape. I had to do some landscaping, which also turned out to be a bit difficult, because I feel like when you have a build like this, you really want the build to stand out and you don't want to have the typical landscaping. So I eventually, as you will see, decided to just use lots of debug rocks, and I really wanted to keep it simple. And of course, I also had to build a pool, and we can't build pools on platforms. You have to keep that in mind. So when you're working on a garden or a fancy patio and you're planning your whole build and then you just want to add your pool, it might not allow you to build a pool actually, because you have to build it on a foundation. This is why this triangular shape in the front is just a foundation or a floor piece. And then I built a platform around it, including a round shape, just so I could place some plants over there. I just used this pre-shaped round shape, and I made it small on both sides, I think, and then I just turned it into a beautiful circle and connected it. I just wanted this to look really fancy, so this is something that you have to keep in mind. On the right side, I also made the platform a bit bigger, and there your Sims can just hang out and sunbathe. And I even expanded it a bit more, as you will see later, because I don't know, there was just something missing in my opinion. You will see how I'm working on that later. And then I wanted to make this area look fancy. The stairs, this is a dine out object. You can place it on a wall. It's perfect. You use it as a headboard when you're building a bed, when you're working on a bedroom. You can simply build it on the wall, so you have a beautiful headboard. I can totally recommend that. It's also amazing if you want to have a backsplash in a kitchen. It's such a versatile object because it's just so simple. It comes in really basic swatches, and I just love that. Just like the pristine pedestal that I just used here, this small cube, I just placed them on top of each other to have some type of column kind of, and I just love this dine out object. I don't even know what it's called still, and this pristine pedestal from Get Famous. I just love these really simple geometrical shapes. And there's also one in Spa-Day, of course, the Spa-Day Stony Goodness slab. Anyone who's been around here for a while knows all these objects already, because I just love them so much. And for the planters, or this huge planter that I built, I just used a half wall around the platform, and I used a plant that is part of Eco Lifestyle, and it's technically supposed to be used in front of a window, but I just placed it inside the planter because I wanted to have a really minimalistic landscaping approach here. This is why I just placed lots of debug rocks, and then I just painted the terrain I just wanted this to be really simple. As I said earlier, this was a bit challenging because you never know what to do if you just have a regular garden or a front yard. It just looks too weird for a house like this. This is like a hyper modern weird house, so you also need a hyper modern garden, I feel like, or no garden at all, and just a bit of rocks and landscaping. I don't know. And also, I didn't mention this, but for the decoration in the front, I used an Ecolab style object, the one that you can place on a wall. You could also use it as a room divider, and I placed this one on the wall in a black swatch. It just looks like tiny columns, and then I rotated one using tools so it lays down on the roof. Again, just fancy decoration, nothing more. And here I'm working on the floor plan. I changed the floor plan a bit up later because I had to place some stairs down there. And as you can see, I was struggling a bit, and then I built them this way. And then I also had to change the floor plan a little bit. And here I'm furnishing already. I'm about to furnish this house, and I had a lot of fun. I once again used No CC gallery paintings from SimSationalToo. Just amazing. I'm going to link SimSationalToo down below in the description box, and just wonderful. And I just decorated this using lots of dark colors, but I also wanted to have a contrast. I used this lamp multiple times. It's a debug object. It's from Ecolab style. I think it can be crafted, which is why you don't see it when you don't activate the cheats, like the debug cheats and all that. And I placed it in multiple areas, and I then decided to have a contrast. So I used lots of dark black furniture and also some really bright, beautiful wood colors. So I have this contrast. I just wanted to have a bit of warmth because it's look at the floor. It's this bluish black. It's like really, really dark. Here you can see some of the paintings finally. And I wanted to have a contrast and also a bit of color. And I decided to incorporate the color by simply using these No CC gallery paintings because I didn't want to have some really colorful furniture. I always like to use all these neutral colors. I don't know, I'm really bad at having really colorful interiors. And this plant on the table is just much bigger generally. I sized it down, and it comes in different swatches, and I feel like for modern interiors, this one is just perfect. I don't even know to which pack it belongs. Maybe City Living. I also changed the color, but it's just so beautiful. I can just recommend it. If you want to have a really over-the-top interior, and if you want to have a pop of color, this plant is perfect. Here, love this swatch, the swatch that I just changed it to. It's so beautiful. I don't know, it just makes any interior look so fancy. Like sometimes I'm not really happy with an interior, and whenever I place this one, I'm really happy. And then I just changed the position of the lamp, and I don't know, I was just trying to work out the whole interior kind of. I had no idea. And you can see that here up to a point there's no cut. This was like a one take. I just worked and worked on this until I reached the kitchen, I think. Or after the kitchen, I only took a small break to just gather my thoughts and to think, okay, how am I going to furnish the bathroom and everything? But here it just happened. It was a really fun and quick process, and I really enjoyed this. Furnishing can be a lot of fun. Sometimes it's really challenging and it's driving me crazy, but here I had a lot of fun. Also, there are these huge windows, and I didn't want to decorate too much. I feel like when you are sitting in this dining room, you just look out of the window and you have nature, and it's just so beautiful. And I wanted to keep it really simple when it came to this dining room. And in the corner in the back there will be a bathroom. I really have a tendency recently to just work on a floor plan and to furnish, and then I realized, oh my god, there's no bathroom at the bottom. So I really had to make sure that I built a room where I could build the bathroom. And the kitchen is also really dark, but there are lots of contrast, also lots of really bright wood colors. I decided to have these bar stools which are red for whatever reason, just a pop of color. I wanted to be a bit random with this so it looks not too dark and gloomy, because my last build was like really, really gloomy and dark, and I wanted this interior to be modern but a bit more fun and happy, because I know not everyone enjoys this. Some of you really liked it, but I also received a couple of comments that it's a bit gloomy, and I think this is always the case with this type of architecture, the style that I used for my last mansion, because for some people it's just too dark, too gloomy, really minimalistic, no colors, and I was really pushing it with my last build. I really wanted this to look, yeah, just really dark, but some of you liked it, and this made me really happy. Also, in case you were wondering, I have a couple of Christmas builds lined up because it's December. Of course, it's time for at least a couple of Christmas builds. I always do this on this channel. I'm not really into these types of builds. Like, I always stick to mansions, of course, in different styles and variations, but whenever I'm building something that's so over the top, I don't know, like Christmas builds always have some fantasy elements, at least when I'm working on one, because I really want to go over the top, and this is like really different for me. This also makes it fun, and of course I also have a couple of builds planned. Like, this Christmas is so weird because of the whole global situation. Like, for me, it also feels so different. I don't know, by now I would have already finished decorating the house. I have decorated, but I'm still not done. I don't know, I'm not really in the mood this year. This year is just different, and I'm sure a lot of you are feeling this way. But we are going to get through this, and hopefully next year everything is different at some point, and we just have to remain hopeful. And I hope that it just will be a bit different, like Christmas at least. I know that just because it's 2021, things won't change right away, but maybe until Christmas we will see what's going to happen next year. And I know that this is not easy in general, especially now because of the holidays, but I'm sending you all my love. I hope that you are doing well, and that even though times are difficult, and now they feel even more difficult because of the holidays in many different ways, because people can celebrate and all that, I just hope that you are just doing well. I'm just sending you all my love. I just want to say this, and I just want to acknowledge that things aren't easy. So even though there will be many Christmas builds, or at least a couple, and even though these will be really festive, I know that things are different, and I just want to give all of you a hug, like a virtual hug, because even during these times, a virtual hug is always safe. So have a hug. And this is one of the kids' rooms. I used No CC Gallery art by SimSationalToo once again. So there is a Minnie Mouse on the wall. It's just super cute. I decided to have a pink and a blue kids room. I also love to work on yellow and orange rooms. I rarely use green for kids rooms. I just realized that. And I said that I'm not good at colorful interiors, but whenever I'm working on a kids room, I decide on one color and then I use it a lot. Maybe I should just combine different colors for kids rooms. This could be even more colorful and fun. For some reason, I always do it this way. I decide on a color and then I just use it a lot. And here I'm using the dine out object that I talked about earlier. And as I said, you can use it as a headboard. This isn't even the best example, because when you use a different bed, you can push the bed's actual headboard into the fake headboard, so it looks like a proper headboard. Here I just placed it in front of this object. I just wanted to make the wall look a bit more interesting. And here I actually combined different colors with the blue. I forgot about this, but not really a lot. And this room is relatively spacious for a kid's room. Like, everything just fits into the room. I have a desk and a bookshelf and a sofa, just different things. And you can, of course, always add something that you want to add if you want to have different toys in this room, for example. And this here is one of the bedrooms, and the windows are going all around the room, which makes it really modern and beautiful. And because they are so high up, there's still some space left at the bottom where I can just place stuff at the wall, because it always stresses me out when I have a room where I only have windows and I don't want to place anything right in front of the window usually. And for the dining room, this was okay, because as I said, I wanted it to be really open so you could take a look at the outside basically, but here this was a good solution. And then I decorated the patio a bit, so this is technically the garden. I didn't include a proper garden. I just wanted to have this super fancy patio. I have a barbecue grill and an island counter, just so your Sims can hang out. And I also built a bar, and I decided to have some fancy lights so your Sims could have a party out there, even like a fancy pool party or something. And again, you can add even more stuff, whatever your Sims need, whatever type of life your Sims lead, so you can always add more stuff. I don't know, maybe they are into beekeeping, for example. I have no idea. And this is almost it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Here you can see some screenshots. You can grab this build from the gallery. As always, CC free and unmodded, so you can just place it and let your Sims move in. I used No CC Gallery art by SimSationalToo. You can find them in the gallery. I'm going to link them down below in the description box or put their name there so you can look them up. And also don't forget to check out the Discord if you haven't yet, the KateEmerald community Discord. You can also find the link in the description box. And I would like to say thank you so much for watching again. I hope you have a perfect week and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.